Yo, people, thank you for joining us. Listen, the title of this video is called Should Black Men Move to Africa for a Better Quality of Life? Should Black men move to Africa for a better quality of life? And before we get into that, listen, subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Forgive me for not going live in a long time. You know, life happens and sometimes you just have to sort of get on with it, right? Sometimes life happens and sometimes you have to just get on with it. Apologies for that. So yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And listen, this is an important question. And the reason why I am looking at this question is because, number one, I am doing, this all counts for as research for myself. I am looking, as you already know, to either move to Ghana, to be quite honest with you, Ghana as a jumping off point, maybe even Kenya. Now that I've looked at Kenya a lot, Kenya is a brilliant place, possibly Burkina Faso, possibly, because if I'm really honest with you, I love what the new young leaders doing in Burkina Faso. Nigeria, a lot of people haven't looked at Nigeria at all, but half my DNA comes from Nigeria. Half my wife's DNA comes from Nigeria. Her dad's Ghanaian. Yeah. But the bottom line is somewhere on the African continent is where we're going to be going. So all of the lives, all of the streaming I've been doing for the last, I don't know, God knows how many months, has literally counted as my personal research. Last night, I watched a brilliant discussion chaired by young Austin Holloman. Do go and check out his channel. Had a brilliant discussion last night. The last half, he just sat back along with his colleague Kid Greatness and just let the panel discuss, which I thought was brilliant. They linked it not just to women and all the rest of it in Kenya, but also to politics, what's happening on the continent, all that kind of stuff. I've not heard that kind of a debate yet amongst what people commonly consider to be a group of passport bros. I've not heard that kind of a discussion, but it was a brilliant discussion. A guy that currently lives in Burkina Faso discussing with guys in Kenya and elsewhere on the African continent and probably in the States. And you had couple of guys from the UK joining. I don't know if they're living in the UK, but they joined. It was a good discussion. So do go and check it out. That's the last discussion, the last live on Austin Holloman's channel. Great discussion. So I was going to, there were one or two points that I'll probably touch on here. I was going to basically review part of that discussion, but I think we'll do that another day, because I think what we're going to be looking at now is going to be more than enough, and we'll review that parts of that discussion another time. But if you want to go and listen to it, do go and check it out. A guy called Austin Holloman, I'm sure you've heard of him. It's the last live that he did on his channel. Definitely go and check it out. But what we're going to do is do this. Let me bring this up. Let me bring it up. Okay, so this is a young brother called, let me get his name right, Nathan Peters. And the video that we're going to be reviewing is his video. I'm not sure when it was done. It's done 3 months ago. Got 116,000 views. His video is titled "Why I Left London for South Africa and Why I'll Never Go Back." Now, I'm not so much bothered necessarily with South Africa. I've not even looked at South Africa really as a destination for black men living in the UK or living in the West. There's loads of people that have. What I am going to do is look at his reasons for leaving the UK, to look at his reasons for leaving London. Now, I want to make it clear. If London is your thing, if you find value living in London, if you love London, then, if you like it, I love it, basically. I want to make this clear. If you find value from living in the UK, living in London, this video is possibly not for you, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. If you've got value living in any part of the West, more power to you. As I said, if you like it, I'm loving it for you. Yeah, this video is for guys who are thinking of leaving. Guys who are thinking of leaving. Black men who are searching for the community that we used to have in the UK, in London, for black men who are searching for some kind of community, something, right? Something that we used to have here that we simply don't have anymore. This video is for you. We're going to be looking at, if you like, the cost of living in the UK, in London, and we're going to try and compare that to how that stacks up with the, you know, the very sort of basic cost of living in Kenya, in Ghana, and in Lekki, Nigeria. All right. And as I said, a lot of people haven't bothered, for one reason or another reason, haven't bothered to look at Nigeria as a possible destination for black men living in the West, living in the UK. Right. But we are going to do that. We're going to do that to some small degree now. That's what we're going to do. All right. But without further ado, let me start this video. And again, I want to make it clear. I'm going to say fair use. This guy is focused on South Africa. I am not necessarily at all focused on South Africa. I am going to, if you like, extend what he's saying about South Africa to the whole African continent. All right. Obviously, there's differences depending on the African country, but I think generally speaking, I think we can use this video in the manner that I want to use it. So anyway, fair use. Here we go.
12 months ago, I took a one-way flight from London to Dubai, from Dubai to Cape Town, and then finally from Cape Town to Johannesburg. And let me tell you, I have zero intentions of returning to London permanently anytime
Good
soon.
for you.
Now here comes the opinions. And trust me, I've heard it all.
Listen to this.
Why would you leave such a global powerhouse with rich history, amazing healthcare?
So global powerhouse, that means, well, I suppose you could argue global powerhouse, so there's going to be jobs and opportunities for black men. Jobs. Yeah, I mean, there's jobs. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be hired for those jobs. How many interviews are you going to have to go to as a black man to get one of those jobs? Just being real. And even when you do get one of those jobs, how are you going to be treated in that job position, the career field that you're trained to go into? You know, you've got your postgraduate qualification, you've got into a career. How are you going to be? How are you being? How have you been treated? Now, I've got stories of a lot of my black brothers, as in friends, that have been through tribunals, qualified guys, been through get to pronounce it right, been through tribunals, employment issues as professional men. So global powerhouse, yeah, and so, so what? It means nothing.
And trust me, I've heard it all before. Why would you leave such a global powerhouse with rich history?
Rich history. Whose history and who does that benefit? Are we part of that history as black men? And the part of us that is included in that history, how does that extend further than slavery? You know, when we're at school in the UK, growing up here, right? The only part of us that we saw in the education system was when they spoke about the so-called transatlantic slave trade. And that was it, right? When I was at school. Now, there's bits in there about Martin Luther King and all the rest of it. And there are efforts, I want to make it clear, there are efforts to decolonize the curriculum. But, you know, let's just say it's patchy. It's great in some areas, and in other areas, you know, let's just say there's room for improvement, right?
Amazing healthcare, a functioning government.
And that is one good thing about the UK. There is an NHS, National Health Service, right? Some people might slag it off. I think the National Health Service is brilliant. That's my personal point of view. And a lot of other countries simply don't have it. You know, it's as simple as that. So I think that's a big plus.
for what? South Africa? That place that's always in the news for...
Now, even though he's talking about South Africa, right? Don't focus too much on that. I'm really more talking about, generally speaking, really the whole of the African continent, yeah?
Economic instability, crime, racism, apartheid, and to top it all off, you know nobody there. Now, as much as I have different opinions, I get it. It sounds crazy, but in this video, I'll be giving you 5 reasons why I made the move from London to South Africa,
London to
and why
Africa.
I think it
5.
may have been the best
So
decision
I'm really
I've made
focused on
in
the
my entire
5
life.
reasons. Do you understand?
Reason number 1
Okay,
is
number
cost of living.
It's
Now
the
let's
big
talk
one.
money. Living in London, I actually lived with my grandparents, and it wasn't because I couldn't afford to move.
Now, this guy, right, is, I don't know how, he's probably in his mid-20s, right? Not sure why he's shaving his chest. And anyway, whatever. I'm not focused on that. I'm just focused on what he's saying, right? So he looks like he's mid-20s. He says he can afford to move out, but he's living with family, all right?
Move anywhere else. Like, even if I didn't decide to live in London, I could have just moved to Birmingham, or I could have moved to Manchester.
And it's cheaper to live
Why did I
outside of
decide to
London?
move all the way across the world to South Africa? Right now, when you're renting in London, if anyone's renting in London, God forbid.
Right, listen very carefully. All right, we're going to analyze this.
You're going to be spending £2,000 a month.
Yep.
In not a nice area. It could be a place like in Hackney or Bethnal Green or Tower Hamlets or in Ilford for
Ilford. No. Okay, I don't mind saying it, right? One of our properties is in Ilford. I'll just put it like that, right? So, yeah. Anyway, say no more.
a 1-bedroom flat, £2,000 a month.
And that's the truth.
That, for most people in London, if I'm not mistaken, is their entire paycheck. So literally your entire paycheck, not even including, oh my word, not even including taxes.
Let's have a look at this. Higher rate, 40%. I think this is, what is this the wage? Is this wages? I think this is higher rate. I don't know what we're looking at there. I think that's wages. Is that wages? I think it is. Starting rate for savings, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know. I don't really know what we're looking at there, but anyway, you might know.
Is going exclusively to rent for a 1-bedroom flat in Drew.
Right, I just want to say, right, so what he's saying there is absolutely correct, because I went and checked it, right? So the standard, let's just bring this up really, really quick. Let's share this tab. So hopefully you can see that. Let me check. Let me just check. Yep, you can see that. So my browser's lost connection. So hopefully you can see this. Hopefully I'm back on. Right, so it says there the average annual cost of rent in London is, look at this. This is the average annual cost of rent. The average annual cost of rent in London is currently £26,000, right? That is that's what people are, that's what the average rent is. Now, I've gone and found apartments for £1,100, which is a lot less than this. But what I went to, what I found, you probably ain't going to want to live there, right? Let's just say that. You probably ain't going to want to live there. This is what people are paying on average, which is by far the most expensive rate in the UK, and almost £3,000 per year on monthly, and almost £3,000 per year on monthly expenses. All right. So that's just, I suppose that's things like utility bills, that's gas and electricity, mobile phone, council tax, stuff like that, travel, 3,000 quid a year. All right. The average rental prices in London have increased by 14% compared to last year's rental market data alone. All right. So that is the key figure there, £26,000, right? which so he's saying £2,000 a month, which is, that's if you want somewhere, better than a kennel. That's if you want somewhere better than where a dog lives. Yeah, simple as that. Okay, so is it worth reading any more of this article? Probably not. The typical London renter spends close to half of their post-tax income on housing. Well over half of a renter's income is spent on basic living expenses before other necessities such as food or transportation are considered when household expenditures are factored in. These figures are certain to rise this year as the cost of living crisis grows and millions, well, God, where have I gone? Where's it gone? These figures of crisis grows and millions of people will see their internet, energy and council tax costs rise. How much is the average rent in London? London is an expensive city to live in, and rent. I mean, London's not the only place to live in the UK. You've got lovely cities up and down the country, and frankly, they're cheaper than living in London. But London is a hot spot. It's a 24-hour city. If you love clubs, going out, if you love doing all that kind of stuff, then London is a magnet. Basically, London is a magnet. But you need a decent salary to live here. And most black men, most people simply are not balling. They haven't got the money. They just haven't got the money to enjoy London. London is like walking down a high street with really expensive shops, and all you can afford to do is look in the windows. That is what London really is for most people. All right, let's make that clear. These figures are certain to rise, blah, blah, blah. London is an expensive city to live in, and renters are no exception, and rents are no exception. If you're looking to move to London or are already living here and are looking for a new place, you're probably wondering how much the average rent is. The average rent monthly flat to rent, so the average monthly flats to rent in London is around 1,500 to 1,600, but this number can vary greatly depending on where you live in the city. Right, it goes on and on and on. Anyway, that guy said 2,000. This article is saying 1,000 to 1,600. So let's just say 1,500. But as I said, I found places for 1,100. But you probably ain't gonna wanna live there. You're definitely not gonna get anything that looks like this, right? And you're not gonna be able to live here, right? Because this is central London, all right? So, yeah, in fact, let's look at this. Highest average rent per month for studio and one-bed properties. Kensington and Chelsea, which is a posh area, a tiny studio, in other words, like a one-room thing, starts at 1,427 quid. A one-bedroom is £2,000. Islington, wow, 1,300. Oh, that's a studio. A one-bed, 1,100. Tower Hamlets, 1,300. A one-bed. These are all quite cheap. Honestly, I thought they were going to be more than this. So these are actually quite cheap. Westminster, 1,300 for a studio. A one-bedroom flat is a one-bedroom apartment is £2,100. Lambeth, a studio is 1,200. A one-bed is 1,595. Highest average rents, lowest rents. Havering, Croydon, Sutton, Barking and Dagenham, Bexley. These are quite cheap, actually. Lowest. I mean, you're probably not going to want to live in it, but it's still cheap. It'd probably be better to live outside, but it's actually still cheap. For London. Lowest average rents per month for a studio and one-bed property in London in 2024. If you can find these, if you can find anything, I mean, I couldn't find. I checked on the internet. I couldn't find any one-bed apartments in London for these figures. If you can find it, right, then you may not want to live there. But if you're a student, maybe it might be okay. Yeah, if you're a student, because let's face it, most students will live anywhere. Most students will live anywhere, kind of, right? Most students will more or less live anywhere. You know, in fact, for a student just to come down to London and live probably fun, but you're probably not going to want to do that if you're a working person, if you're a working professional. Do you know what I mean? You probably ain't going to want to do it. But anyway, look, let's get back to the video. Let's get back to the tape. Let's get back to the video. So let me get back onto the right thing. All right, so hopefully you should be seeing that. Right, fair use. And that's the other thing about the weather, right? Listen, it is freezing cold in London at the moment. It's like ice. Let's just be clear about it. It's freezing in this country. The winter in the UK starts autumn starts around about September. The Notting Hill Carnival is the last day of August, right? And the cold weather starts the day after the Notting Hill Carnival, in my mind. And then the cold weather goes right on to round about late March, April. And that's the truth. And it's dark and cold. And I'm not making it up. It's just the way London is. It's the way the UK is. All right. So when you watch all those old Sherlock Holmes movies and it's foggy, right? That's London. That's London. That's London, you know, that is London. And for some people, you know, honestly, it's depressing. It's depressing. Some people love the cold, dark, foggy weather. Some people absolutely love it. But for other people, it's depressing. You know, it is depressing. But anyway, look, let's move on with it. So bear that one in mind as well. Bear in mind the weather, right? Some people don't factor that in. So he's in South Africa. So basically, he's saying that in London he was spending, you know, for a decent place, £2,000. Personally, I think you can get, you know, a decent, well, a decent place to live in London for 2K a month. Probably quite a nice place, really, in an average area. But what he's saying is that for £1,700, he's getting an immaculate house. So let's have a little look. Man, I don't know what that chain's all about round, isn't it, man? I got no. But anyway, let's not judge. But £1,700 for a 3-bedroom place, guys. You know, no single man really needs a 3-bed place, not unless you're going to sublet it or I don't really know. But then, you know, if you've got the money, if you can afford it, you know, 1,700 for a 3-bedroom house in South Africa. Remember, we're not focused on South Africa. The only comparison I want you to think about is this, right? What can you get? And we'll have a look in a minute. What can you get for £1,100 in London? And what can that or less than that get you in Lekki, Nigeria, Lagos, Nairobi, Kenya, and Ghana, Accra? We'll have a look at that later on. For those that don't know, Stratford, or at least around that way, I'm sure is where Just Pearly Things used to do a YouTube channel stuff around. Maybe I'm wrong, but around that way. But anyway, not that really matters. Yeah, that's why I don't take. I'll be honest. That's why I don't use Uber in London because it's expensive. You might as well get a car. You might as well literally buy a little banger and drive that around and put petrol in it. Because £100. Then again, I don't know where this guy's traveling to, but £100 for an Uber. That's just ridiculous. But then it's London. It is London. Well, what's wrong with a little bit London? What's wrong with a nice London pissy smell, man? What's wrong with this guy? London, just a little bit of, urine down the trains, mixed in with a bit of sick on a Friday night. I don't know what this guy's problem is, man. That's all part of the London experience. And when me and the wife were in Accra, I noticed that Uber was cheap. I noticed that Uber was cheap. We took Uber basically all over the place, and it was cheap. So if it's as cheap as that in South Africa, I'm not even sure if they got it in Nairobi. I've never been, but in Ghana, Accra, Uber was cheap. The only issue, as far as I know, Uber only operated in Ghana in Accra. But anyway, it was dirt cheap. Mm. Yep. Yep. Remote job, remote business. Yep. Yep. Right. So the bottom line is you got to figure out a way how you're going to earn your money. It's either going to be remote work. It could be anything. You could be an accountant working remotely. You could be there's a loads of different businesses, professions that you can do remotely, or look to set up your own business in the country where you're going to. But the bottom line is, what this guy's doing, he's earning in pounds, and he's using the pounds in South Africa, right? And a lot of people do that. You may, if you're of a certain age, you may, have got, an early retirement, early pension. You could still be working, still be looking to do stuff, but the bottom line is you may be earning early retirement, early pension money, maybe drawing some of that. The bottom line is using the money you're getting from the States or getting from the UK or getting from some other European country, and using that money to set up a business or to use in the country, the African country where you're going to. All right. So that's really how it's done. So yeah, anyway. Mm. Speed this up a little bit. London is an expensive place. It's just the truth. It's expensive to live in London, And if you're a young guy and you're as this guy just said, new in your career, just trying to build yourself up, which is what you're doing in your 20s, then effectively you are renting a room. You've got no money, or you're living at home. And that's it. You're not really gonna have enough money to rent a whole flat, not unless you trained in a higher profession. And even then, more than likely, you're going to be flat. You're going to be apartment sharing in London. Yeah, that's the only way. That's the only way guys this guy's age can live outside of the family home. And that's it. That's the way it goes. If you want any more than that, then effectively you're looking to leave the country. To be honest, right? Going out to a nightclub, spending a few £100s, you must be crazy. But then I don't go to nightclubs anymore. So, and to be honest, even when I did go to nightclubs, we used to run nightclubs. We used to put nightclubs on. So would I spend? And it's a long time ago. Let's be honest, it was years ago. Right? I'm not going to lie to you. But would I spend hundreds of pounds out going out on the night? You must be crazy. No way. That's not going to happen. Um, Half the nightclubs we used to go, we used to get in for free anyway, right? So yeah, so I can't really relate to spending hundreds of pounds going out to nightclubs. I just it's just not something I would ever do, not something I ever did. So I can't relate to that. Anyone who spends £100, £150 going out to a nightclub, you're crazy. You got, as far as I'm concerned, you got to be on very good money to be blowing that once a week. You know, what kind of money should you be earning in, you know, if you're going to be doing that? You know, what kind of money should you be, if you're going to do, if you're going to spend £100, right, and a week, £150 a week on social, right, then that could be £400 or £500 a month. How much have you got to be earning in London in your 20s? How does that doesn't anyway, what this guy's saying is that none of it works, none of it computes, right? So effectively, in London, if you want to live in London at his age, you've literally got to live like a hermit. You've literally got to live like a hermit. That's basically what this brother's saying. So you can work in London, you can live in a shoebox, but you can't do anything else. You can't have cable, you can't afford anything, you can't go out. And that is why people his age are in continual debt, plus student loan debt. So student loan debt, bank overdrafts because they want to go out and party, clothes, decent restaurants, nightclubs, Ubers, live in a decent area. All of it adds up to nothing more than debt. And that is it. Amen. Amen. Another little thing, right? Just to say for those that don't know, the government went out of their way years ago to shut down a lot of black nightclubs in London. At one point, London had a whole load of black nightclubs in the suburbs, all throughout London. There were loads of black nightclubs going right back to the 70s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. But in round about the early 2000s, the government basically went out their way to close down all of the black nightclubs in London. So there's no, you know, there's only a few now, and that's what it was, a specific policy. But you know, anyway. I've got a feeling that when you go to another country, I think you go out of your way to get to know people. I think that when you're living, when you're born and brought up in a place like London, I think you take pretty much all of it for you're not going out of your way to get to know people that much anymore. That's my view. But anyway, let's go back a little bit. Right, career opportunities. Right. Right. So this guy does remote sales basically. Yeah, online working. What's that? Not at all. Oh, sugar. Okay, so I've just been told that you can't hear the volume of the video at all. Right. So what I'm going to do, let me. I'm gonna have to see this before we do anything. I'm gonna check that. Check what's going on with that. Apologies for that. So let me go and check the actual. Let's go and have a little play with the stream just to make sure that I know what's going on. So let's go back again. Let's go back again. Let's go back again. Right, before we even go on, good to see you, Raymond. Good to see you, bro. But let me go back and check the actual video because I've just been told that you can't hear the volume of the video. All right, so let me just go back and check it and figure out what's going on with that. Technology, eh? Technology. What a pain. Right. Let's try and work out what's going on with this. Right, bear with us. Right, audio. Right. I'm going to play it again. Listen, what I want you to do, if you're listening to this, I want you to tell us, put a one in the chat, if you don't mind, if you can actually hear the video. All right. So put a one in the chat if you can actually hear the video. Let me do this and I will play it in a sec. And I just want you to put a one in the chat if you can hear the video. Okay. Give us a minute. Right. Okay. So put a one in the chat if you can hear that. All right. All right. Put a one in the chat if you can hear the video. All right. Put a one in the chat if you can hear that. I've got 5 people in there, man. Put a one in the chat if you can hear the video. Just put a one in the chat if you can hear that. One in the chat if you can hear it. Just check. No, you still can't hear the video. All right, let's have a look. Let's have a little look. Well, I'm assuming you can hear me, but you're saying you can't hear the video, right? So let's play with that again. All right, okay, 1 minute. Bear with us. All right, let's see what. I'm no expert on StreamYard, so but let's see what can be done with this. Right, okay. Yeah, all right, all right. Uh, Settings. Let's try this. Audio. All right, bear with me. Audio. Right, right. Let me, maybe if I remove that and I'll try sticking it back in again. Could hear at the beginning. All right, you could hear it at the beginning. All right, Lynn Ford, can you hear that now? Can you hear that now, Lynn? Lynn Ford, can you hear that now? Since you're the only one who's giving us a no, giving us a no. If you can hear it, just put a no. Okay. No, you can't hear it. Right, okay, right. Tell you what, let me pause that just for a minute and let's do this. Right, give us a minute. That's a pain because that was actually quite a good video. So I'm going to have to do some tests on that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to drop that down. I think I'm going to have to come back to that. What I'm going to do, forgive us for that. Not sure what the hell's going on there. So what I'm going to do, I am going to remove that just for a minute, right? And what I'm going to do instead is bring this up, right? Now, cost of living. Now, what this video is all about, right? It's all about whether or not it's worth Black British men moving to Africa basically for a better quality of life. Now, bearing in mind, right, that what we said at the top of this stream was that the average rent in the UK, you know, going by that article that I brought up, was £26,000 for a one-bedroom apartment in London, right? That is what that article said was the average rent, right? And then the video that I just played, even though you couldn't hear necessarily all of the audio, you heard, I think Lynn Ford said that you heard some of the audio at the very beginning. That guy said that he was paying, or as far as he could see, the average rent was something like 2,000 British pounds in London in terms of average rent. I want to show you this. Right? So what I went and found, I went and found some apartments in London, right? And then we're going to compare those same apartments to an apartment in Kenya, in Nairobi, and in Lekki, Nigeria, and in Accra, Ghana, all right? I just think it's worth looking at. Now, this is all about whether or not it's worth Black men who earn average salary, right? Average salary in London isn't that much, right? You know, it's not that much. The average salary in London for a man is meant to be £47,000, right? But I want to make it clear, that is for men. That's not for Black men. Does that make sense? Black men are not earning £47,000 in London. That's not happening. Not the average Black guy. We are earning less than that on average. I know some Black guys that earn a hell of a lot more than that, but the majority of Black men are not earning 47,000 British pounds. It's just not happening, right? So we have to be really clear about that. Anyway, right, let me bring this in, right? Now, this is the reason why I chose this one is because I know this area, right? This is Southwest London. This is a one-bedroom apartment, right? And these are not even studios. I wanted to get a one-bedroom flat, right? If you like, a one-bedroom apartment. This is a one-bedroom apartment in an area near Croydon, South London, not too far from that crazy cult church that used to be called SPAC Nation, or whatever the hell that was called, right? This is a place called Norbury near Croydon, right? Now, what do you get? Now, this is £1,100 per calendar month in London, in South London. Now, what do you get for that, right? Look at what you get for that. It's only 3 pictures. So you get whatever this is meant to be. I think that's meant to be a bedroom. You get a sort of kitchen diner. I think the bedroom is that little box. I think that is the bedroom. Can you help me? Let me just check you can actually see this. Yeah, you can, right? So this is what you get in London, right? For £1,100. You get a box of a bedroom, you get a kind of kitchen diner sort of area, right? And effectively, that's what you get in Norbury for £1,100, right? £1,100 gets you this. Now, obviously, God knows what's outside. They give you 3 pictures, and they're not even giving you a view outside, right? I mean, you can paint and decorate it better than this. Anywhere can be nicely painted and decorated. This place is not. You would be spending your own money on this, right? Let's be clear about that. Okay, let's bring up quickly some other places really quick. So hopefully you should be able to see that. Let me check. Yes, you can. Right. Okay. So and just to be clear, the part of London we're looking at is here. For those of you that know London, from Sutton, Croydon, Beckenham, right the way around east. Well, Ilford and East Ham's well inside, right around Romford. So it's Loughton's quite a nice area. Enfield up to Boreham Wood, which is northwest London or North London. This is London. Effectively, this is the inner bit of London. Just outside that, I suppose, is the M25, right? Okay, so what do you get? So for £1,100, you're getting this thing here. This is in Wallington near Croydon. Let's have a quick look at that. All right, so this was taken in the heart of winter. The kitchen's not terrible. 1,100. So you're getting this is obviously a new build block of flats. Storage heaters. That's the main living room, I suppose. Kitchen. So they're giving you, and I'm assuming one of those is a bedroom. Yeah, this is the bedroom. Bathroom. And it's a clean little flat for £1,100. That's what you're getting. 1,100. That's not a bad little flat. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's out far. I think that's zone 5 or whatever that is. So it's on the very outskirts of London. It's not a terrible one. I don't know where Griffin Road is on this one. Southeast London, SE18. My wife might know. I've got no idea where that is at all. Anyway, this is what you're getting for £1,100 in this part of London. It looks like some kind of masonette. Again, this isn't terrible, in my personal opinion. It's not terrible. I don't think you can say it's terrible. It doesn't look terrible to me. It looks all right, kind of, right? This is a flat share. So that's when you're paying £1,100 to share. So I think you get a room in this flat. It's a 2-bedroom flat. So you're paying £1,100 for a room in this flat. So we're not looking at flat shares, right? This, I think you're getting the whole place. This is Thornton Heath. This is near Croydon. Not a bad area. And again, if I'm reading it right, am I reading it right? Because some of these are disguised as flat shares when they're really, and not one, that they lead you to believe you're getting the whole flat. I might be wrong, but I doubt you're getting all of this for £1,100. I just kind of doubt that. I think if you go into it and have a look, it's going to come up as a flat share. Although I might be wrong. Let's have a quick click into it, see if it's going to. If you're getting all of this for £1,100, you're lucky. If you're getting all of that for £1,100, you're lucky. I think you might be. This is the best out of the lot in London. For London, that's great. That's a great place. That's a brilliant place. If you're getting all of it, if it's true. Thornton Heath, that's near Croydon. £1,100 for. I mean, it's not. This isn't terrible. You and your girlfriend, if you got a girlfriend, you and your girlfriend can move into this one. Self-contained modern amenities designed for convenience and style. Bright living space, perfect relaxing entry system. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, council tax band D. £253 a week. Maximum tenants 2. I'm just checking to see if it is actually, if this is the whole flat for that amount of money, that's actually pretty good. That is brilliant for the money. It's got to be some kind of catch there. Basically, you're living in the top of a big house. How can I tell? Because these bits here, you're basically up in the roof. But it looks to me to be nicely done. That's the best out of the lot for the money. I don't think you're going to get better. I'd be surprised if you're going to get better than that in London. And then it starts going up 1,150 quid. Again, South London, near Croydon, place called Mitcham. What's going on there? Don't know what's going on there. A place called Mitcham, £1,100. Not terrible looking. It looks, don't know if you can see that, but it looks all right to me. Eastfields. So I know where that is. My mother used to live in that area or near there. Not terrible. It's actually what? Golders Green, North London. 1,150. This looks like it's been newly renovated. Not terrible. Yeah, it looks all right. And then this is a lovely looking front of that house. The bottom line is £1,150. These places are quite small. They're even telling you what your minimum income's got to be. Minimum annual income required, right? Before you can look at this place, £34,500. That is what the estate agent's going to want to see in terms of your proof of annual income. And it starts going up from there, right? So that is the cheapest one, the cheapest apartments that I could find. Maybe I could find cheaper. Is it even worth looking? Well, that report said I could find cheaper, right? So let me just out of curiosity, let's just do this, right? Let's just do this out of curiosity, just to see what the hell comes up. No, we don't want. All right, that it says they're flat. So that's an apartment. Basically, it begins to get really quite ropey. So there are apartments underneath that you see, but a lot of them are flat shares. Like, in other words, you get a room in a house. These are all flat shares. Do you understand? So basically, you're so it's £800 for a room in a house, which is how most people live in their 20s. They move to London and then they flat share. Unless they're on really, really good money, right? £950. This might be okay. This is a self-contained studio, so you're getting 2 rooms. So was that £950? So for £950 to live in London, and this is the outskirts of London. This is where black people used to live, in a place called Willesden, right? So you're getting. Oh God! So you're getting a sink in your bedroom, or unless that's your bedroom there, look, unless that's your toilet. Oh God! Wow! So in this studio for £950. You got your own front door key. You're not flat sharing, but you've got no bath. You've got a shower room. You've got a hand basin, a toilet, and a tiny shower, right? That is it. Look. So you might as well, it's like you're going toilet in the shower, right? And I don't know if that's the bedroom or the toilet there, right? But anyway, where's the cooker? Is there no cooker in this place? You know, there might not even be no cooker in there, you know. Sorry. You might be surviving on takeout. This is London, man. This is what people do. Listen, people move from up north to come and live in London, to come and live like this. They move from their parents' house, right, in Glasgow, in Birmingham, in Leeds, wherever, right? Nice big house that their parents have got, all the way down to London to study and to live the life, to go out to drink and to live here. Right? This is what people do. Honestly, I'm not kidding. This is what people do, right? People sacrifice to come and have a piece of London. Like what's that cat's name? What's that cat's name that left God knows where? He wrapped up his knapsack and marched down to London for a good time. There's a cat in it. It's a kid's story. But anyway, people do that all the flipping time. But anyway, look, bear all that in mind. What we're going to look at now, right, is what you can get for that kind of money. Let's start with Nairobi, right? Kileleshwa, right? Let's start there. And then we're going to go to Ghana, Accra, and then we're going to go to then we are going to go to Lekki, Nigeria. So hopefully you can see this. Right, so 100,000 Kenyan shillings. Right, let me just check how much that is. 100,000. So 100,000. Listen carefully. 100,000 Kenyan shillings is 611 pounds. Right. So remember, we were looking at that. We were looking at that studio for 950 pounds. Right, and what you got with it. Right, just keep those pictures in your head. Right, so we are now looking at this 600 and I've just done the currency conversion, right? 611 pounds, right? It's 100,000 Kenyan shillings. Now look what you get for this, right? That is what you get. Can you see it? Let me just check you can see that. Yes, you can see it, right? That is what you get. Look, compare. 611 pounds. This is what I'm saying. Now, the title of the video, the title of this live rather, right? The title of this live is Should Black British Men Move to Africa for a Better Quality of Life? Look at what you're getting in Kenya for 611 pounds in Kileleshwa, Nairobi. Kileleshwa is along with Westlands, is a lovely part of Nairobi. For 611 quid, this is what you're getting. 611 pounds. Now, where the hell in London are you going to get this? Fitted wardrobe, right? Fitted bathroom, a massive shower. Basically, it's big. I mean, you know, you could fit a bath in there if the developers wanted to have done that. Massive balcony. I mean, this balcony is as big as the whole studio flat we were just looking at in London. That's the damn truth. Kids play area. Now, where in London for £600 are you going to get this? A swimming pool. So quality of life. Quality of life, man. Title of the live: Should black men move to Africa for a better quality of life? £611 gets you this. This is what it gets you in Nairobi. Now, you know, remember where we started, right? I don't know if you caught it or not, but the brother that was just talking was saying that he works remotely. The business, the job that he runs, the job that he does it remotely. So it's either you're going to have, as I said, some kind of early retirement pension payment, or which you can do when you're 55. I'm 56, right? I know I don't look it, but I'm 56. Or you're going to work remotely and be paid in pounds or dollars. or you're going to be looking to set up your own business. But the bottom line is £611. This is what it gets you. You're not you're not going to find this in London for anything under what, £2,500, maybe, if you're lucky. You're definitely not going to have a swimming pool. You're not going to get a swimming pool. Whatever you're looking at here, you're definitely not going to get this in London. It's not going to happen. Not for £611, right? You're going to literally have to move somewhere like, God knows, Leeds, maybe Glasgow, somewhere very, very far away up north to get anything like this. Quality of life. Quality of life, man. Now, the reason why I'm focusing so much on property is because, at the end of the day, that brother also said that £2,000 was the average, in his opinion, to get somewhere nice in London in a nice area. I think you can get somewhere. I don't necessarily think you have to pay £2,000. The article that we read was really saying round about sort of 14, sort of 1,500 quid, which I think is more correct, right? That's just my personal opinion. But that is still, that's still more than double this. That is more than double. So the point is, you can be earning a lot less and survive and live here if you go to Kenya. Quality of life. Quality of life. Minus racism. Minus freezing cold weather. Do you understand? Yeah. Quality of life. We haven't even started talking about relationships yet. Right, go and check some of the videos on this channel, and that will answer those questions. But quality of life, man, no racism, which means your mental health is going to be a lot better, because racism causes ill mental health in Black people. You haven't got the police running you down to stop and search you, stop you when you're driving, all this kind of foolishness. Although, all truth be told, in Ghana, they're stopping everybody at checkpoints. They're not looking for you necessarily. They're stopping everyone. And sometimes they're asking for a little bit of money. That's the truth. And I don't like it, but it's what's going on at the moment. Not sure if they do that in Kenya or not. But you're not being stopped because you're Black. Just have to say it the way it is, because it's the truth. It is the truth. And you definitely ain't going to have a swimming pool. It doesn't come standard with apartments in London. It just doesn't. And who's going to want to be, even if it had a swimming pool, who's going to want an outdoor swimming pool in London when it's freezing cold? Quality of life. Anyway, look, so that's that. Let's look at something else very quick. All right, let's look at this one. This one is in Lekki. Now, listen, I know a lot of people slag off Nigeria. Personally, I've been looking at property in Nigeria. Hopefully you can see that, by the way. I've been looking at property in Nigeria. I think Nigeria is absolutely brilliant. I think Lekki, Victoria, Banana Island, Victoria Gardens, all that part of Lagos, I think is amazing, underexplored, right? I'm going to be exploring it more, because I think it's definitely worth a look in terms of property investment and building a life there. That's just my personal opinion. But for the same amount of money, right, this apartment is going, where was the price? 2 million naira. I just want to make sure that should be 1,100. Let me just have a quick check. Let me just have a check just to make sure that I've got it right. All right, here we go. All right, okay. Let me just make sure. Bear with me. All right, okay. So, all right, here. 1,000, 1,100. All right, 1,100. I don't know what's going on with this Mac. My Mac is talking to me in a weird way. Hopefully you can still hear me. Right, okay. So 1,100 British pounds is 2,128,000 899 naira, right? So let me grab that. Let me copy that and let's stick it into this property website. Give us a minute. Give us a moment. Let's stick it in. Yeah. So that's right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So this property that you can see on the screen is less than £1,100, right? That's what it is. Let's have a quick look. And this is in Lekki, Lagos. This should be, it's where you can see where it is there. I think it's a nice area. I'll have to check it to be completely certain, but it's a rough comparison that we're doing anyway, right? So just look at the pictures. This is what you get for less than 1,100 British pounds, right? Now compare it to those places that we've been looking at. That's really all I want you to do, right? Just compare it. And the pictures ain't necessarily brilliant, but this is what you get. So it looks like the buildings look like they're newish. So you can judge by the size. It's built out of brick. This place isn't small, it's huge. Built-in storage cupboards, molded ceilings, quite standard in Africa to get those kind of molded ceilings. This is basically what you get. You get 2 bathrooms. You get a shower room, plus you get a bathroom. Looks to be like some kind of jacuzzi, right? So effectively, you're getting a hell of a lot for your money. You are getting, just check that beautiful master's bedroom at Chevron Alternative Route. I'm assuming that's the area. Effectively, all I really just want to prove is that you're just getting a hell of a lot for your money. That's pretty much all I'm saying. All right. And I know Lekki, Nigeria. I know Nigeria is not everyone's cup of tea or destination, but I think Nigeria, I think Lekki, I think Lagos is definitely worthwhile looking at. I've done videos looking at Nigeria on this channel. Do go and look at the videos because you've got loads going on in Lagos. It's beautiful, basically, and you've got a lake there, you've got water there. It's gorgeous, man. And they're developing that part of Lagos. It's a development area. Right. So whatever it looks like now, in 5-10 years' time, it's going to look totally different. Right. And if you buy property there, just like Accra, it's going up in value. It's going up. Right. So I personally think it's a great investment. So you're for less than £1,100, you're getting a humongous apartment in Lekki, Lagos. And this is just one of them. I just picked out one. There's loads of them. Basically, there's just lots and lots and lots and lots that are cheaper than this. Basically, I'm just trying to do sort of a rough like for like, around about 1,100. Anyway, let's do the last one. If I can find it in Accra. Let's do the last one in Accra. If I can find it. And remember, this is all about asking or trying to answer that question. Should Black British men look for a better quality of life in another country, in the African continent? That is what the live is all about. So keep that in mind as we're looking at these properties, right? Should we be looking to go somewhere else? Should we be looking to move somewhere else as Black men living in the UK? Or should we, and again, I want to make it clear, this is not about knocking anyone who chooses to stay in London or stay in the UK. This is not about saying, you should move. What's wrong with you? Nothing like that. I want to make it clear. If you love your life living in London, if you like it, I love it for you, right? This is not about trying to gaslight you and tell you you're doing the wrong thing. You should move, blah, blah, blah. No, this is simply about saying, right, asking the question, is there an alternative? Is there a better quality of life for us as Black men elsewhere? That is all this is all about. Right, okay. So I'm trying to find, I did have a property up here and it seems to have gone walkies, but let me see I'm gonna give it another little look because it's worth looking for. This is just something in Nigeria that I'm looking to show you. Not Nigeria, sorry, Ghana, that I'm looking to show you. So give us a minute and let's see if I can find someone who can bring it up. All right. And as I said, this is just all about just asking that question. Should I stay or should I go? That's a song by The Clash, right? Should I stay or should I go? All right. It's a good question. It's a good question, I think, for any black man, any black guy living here in the UK or just living in the West, right? And I did have it up. I don't want to go without doing this. I do want to find that property that I did have. Right, okay. Anyway, look, I can't find that one. Let's just start from scratch and do another one. Right? Let's start from scratch and do another one. Right, okay. I'll tell you what, let's just go with 1 minute, bear with us. Because I can't remember the name of that other property website that I always look at. Let's do this. Let's find it. All right, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's just search. Let me search here. If I share that tab, if I come there, if I go property in Accra, let's see what comes up. Come on, hurry up. Right, let's see. Property for sale, property sale, Accra. I keep forgetting the name of the website that I always use. God, what's it called? Let's just try this one. Okay, I'll tell you what, let's just try that one. See what comes up. Let's just see what comes up. Hey, whoops. Whoops. All right, okay, 1 minute. Bear with us. All right, here we go. What's going on there? Right, okay. So I don't often use this website, but let's just do it anyway, just to see what comes up. So we're going to go for rent, and we are going to go Accra. I don't know. Let's just go for the whole of Accra. Type. Let's go for an apartment, 1 bedroom. Let's go for Ghana CDs. And then let's go for the maximum. Right. In fact, no. Let's do it properly. Right. So let's work out. Let's do that. Ghanaian city. I'm just doing the calculation. Yeah. So on my little calculator off screen, in fact, I'll tell you what, I'll show you what I'm doing. So I always, you should be able to see that. Yeah. So I always just translate money here, right? Because I can never do it in my head. I can only do the Jamaican currency in my head. I can't do any other currency, right? So, £1,100 is 20,360 cedis, right? This amount of money. So that's 1,100 quid. So let's come back to this website here. So how much was that? So let me just go back and just make sure that I know how much that is. So that's 20,000 Ghana cedis, right? 20,000 Ghana cedis. And you need to be able to see that tab, which you should be able to now. Cool. All right, okay. 20,000 Ghana cedis, all right? 20,000 Ghana cedis. Here we go, 20,000. Let's just say, I don't know, 25,000 Ghana cedis. And let's go to about, I don't know, let's go to about there. So that's the ballpark, yeah? Any, just go any service, any. Let's see what comes up with that. Let's see what comes up with that, if anything. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. So we've got, how many have we got? We've got a few. All right. Okay. All right. So that's $600. Let's go for something a bit closer. Okay, let's just start. This is a one-bedroom apartment for rent in Accra, right? Community 25 Tema. I know where this is. Me and the wife have been there. In fact, we've looked at property in this area, right, to buy, not to rent. But we want, did I put rent? I didn't put to rent, did I? Or did I? Yeah, to rent. Right, so let's have a look at this. So $600. This is way less than £1,100. Let's do this one. One-bedroom mini flat for rent. East Airport Residential. So this is a nice area, right? This is a nice area in Accra. For those of you that know Accra, 1,200 USD. Right. So let's have a little look at this, right? So 1,200 USD, I think it's about £1,000, something like that. You could do the calculation in your head if you know it. So this is what you're getting, airport residential, for the same amount of money that you would get a studio flat in London, right? So let's have a quick look at these pictures. Now, this is airport residential. This is like, I don't know, this is, I suppose it's an equivalent of some place in central London anyway, right? So, I mean, basically, you can see, man, you're not going to get no swimming pool. You're just not going to get it. It's as simple as that. And these pictures ain't even very good, right? And you can see straight away that there's a massive difference in what you're going to get for the money. Airport residential is a banging area. You're dead in it's like living in central London, as in like in the very center of London, not some little flat on the outskirts. Do you understand? Right? And that is for, around about £1,000. I'm not going to, in fact, let me quickly say what 1,200 USD is. Let me quickly go to the calculator and let's quickly do that. Right? Sometimes it's good to know exactly what it is you're dealing with. How much was that? 1,200 USD. So 1,200 USD is, 950 quid. So £950. And for £950, this is what you're getting, right? Now, remember, £950 was the cost of, do you remember that? Remember that tiny little, so look, let's leave it there. So this is £950, right? And it was the cost of this thing, right? Let's get back onto, so it was the cost of this, remember? 950, so you can see that, it says there, 950 quid, right? This is what you get in London for £950. You're basically buying a toilet, right? For 950 quid. That is what you get. For £950 in London, in Willesden, right? On the outskirts of London, in the middle of nowhere, where a whole heap of black people used to live, right? But anyway, maybe still live, I don't know, right? I used to work down there many moons ago. But anyway, that's what you're getting for £950 in London, right? However, in Accra, let's get back to it. Where's it gone? God, I've got so many tabs open. In Accra, you are getting this for £950. £950 gets you this. Can you see the difference now? £950 gets you that. And remember, you don't need an apartment necessarily with a swimming pool in Accra. Well, you just may not want it, right? Which means it's going to be less than £950. But look, quality of life. Quality of life. And remember, we've not even started talking about relationships. We've not started talking about, marriage. We've not started talking about how far your money goes on dates. None of that. I think all of that is we can talk about that. We have done already. A lot of other people do, right? But quality of life, man. online work, you would have to sort out your money, your own business. You don't necessarily have to live in this nice place. But I think, you got to weigh those things up, man. You've got to weigh those things up, seriously. Right, I'm going to look at some of the comments and then I'm going to get out of here, man. Let's quickly do that. So, and I want to apologize for the lack of sound earlier on. God knows what was going on with that. I will sort that out before the next live. All right. So, Nazarene Judaism restored. The answer to the topic is yes. There you go. It's simple, isn't it? Right. I would say that your people should do DNA tests, reconnect with where they actually come from, change their names, and resided in their ancestors come from. I'm not so sure I understand what you're saying. I think you're just basically just trying to say find out where their ancestors come from. I totally agree. Generally speaking, if you come from the Caribbean, your ancestors are going to be Nigerian and Ghanaian, or Nigerian and Burkina Faso, as in my case. I want to make it clear, though, the people that come from Burkina Faso and Ghana are pretty much the same people. The boundaries, the borders are completely arbitrary, are rubbish. Ignore the borders on the African continent when you're doing a DNA test. They mean absolutely nothing. So if you do a DNA test with something like 23andMe, and the DNA test basically says, oh, you come from Nigeria, right? Don't think that your DNA doesn't spread over to the other countries, because it does. The borders are rubbish. Listen, they speak tree in Ghana, but they also speak tree in Burkina Faso. It's as simple as that. It's the same people. It is literally the same people. If you come from the Caribbean, as I said, your DNA is going to be mostly Nigerian and Ghanaian, right? But, the same DNA is in all of the surrounding countries as well. Need to make it really, really clear. If you're African American, it's going to be Ghana, Nigeria, Gambia, and a lot Togo, and a lot of other countries in West Africa as well. Right. So yeah, do your DNA test. It's absolutely fun. I think what's more important, though, is where you, as a black person, for a black man, is where you feel most comfortable. If you feel more comfortable living in the UK or living in the States or living in some other European country, if you like it, I love it. I want to make it, because I'm going to keep saying it, because you're going to get some comment here that's going to think, I don't think that. No, if you're comfortable living in Europe, living in America, great. Absolutely. This is a life for guys who basically want a better quality of life for the money that they're earning, that want to be able to walk out on the street and not necessarily be picked up or stopped and searched by the police, who are doing their job, right? I'm not even talking about the racist ones. I'm talking about the ones that are doing their job. Right? This live is for people basically who, possibly want a lifelong wife, and not just a woman who wants to get married, but a woman who wants to stay married. Enough said about that, the better. If you just want your money to go further, if you may not need a swimming pool. We've looked at, I'll be really honest, the last apartment we looked at, I didn't even know it had a swimming pool. I didn't know that. But a lot of places in Accra, in Kenya, a lot of these places come with swimming pools. As soon as you go up to a certain price bracket, they come with a swimming pool. You don't necessarily even need it. But 900, you saw the last one, £950, right, in London gets you basically a toilet. I couldn't even see a cooker in that place. Right? Couldn't even see a cooker in that place, honestly. But God, look what you're getting for £950 in Ghana. Look what you're getting for that. Honestly, you don't even need that. £600 in Accra, I think, is going to get you a decent place. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, look, guys, listen, if you're a black guy living in, and where this live came from is that I've had quite a few conversations, not necessarily, well, on this channel too, but on other channels, whereby I've simply suggested that black men in the UK really need to now be focused on looking overseas for a place to live, for a better life, a better quality of life. And I've had a fair bit of pushback, not even from women, but from men as well. Why do you want to go and do that for? Are you saying that this place isn't, are you saying that you can't find a decent quality of life in the UK? It's only guys that lose in the UK that look abroad for a quality of life. If I was a woman saying this, I don't think anybody would challenge me. But maybe because I'm a black British man in the UK simply saying, maybe it's worth us looking elsewhere. Am I not allowed to? Am I not allowed to suggest it? That's the way it seems, I don't think it's worthwhile fighting people in any country in the UK, for some kind of parity for what is readily available to you in other countries. I don't believe that you should be killing yourself fighting for that. I'm talking about lifelong marriage or a career or a job, or to start your own business, or to not be stopped and searched by the police, and just to be able to afford somewhere nice to live. I think if you can get that elsewhere, why are you killing yourself for that in the UK? That's my question. I'm not slagged anybody off. I've not called anyone out of their name, as the Americans like to say. All I'm doing is merely suggesting to you, as a black guy living in the UK, that, or anywhere else in Europe, that this is something that you might want to explore. I've said nothing wrong. I've said nothing wrong. You don't have to be arguing with people. You don't have to be having a dig at people. You don't have to be going on panels of men and women and trying to get the women in the black, or what used to be considered the black community, to do this or do that. What's that channel called where the young guys and girls argue nonstop? Trend Central. You don't have to be going on a podcast and arguing backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, trying to understand why young black women in the UK do OnlyFans and get BBLs. You don't have to be doing that. If they want to do it, it's a free world. They should be allowed to do it. They should be allowed to do it. People, as long as they don't hurt anyone. Years ago, we used to have a community in the UK, but it's gone. And, we have to accept it. You just have to accept it. But that doesn't mean you can't go elsewhere on planet Earth and become a member of a functioning black community. Yeah? And there's loads of black communities on the African continent. There's loads of black communities literally on the African continent. That's it. And there's loads of women there that still want to be wives. Yeah. As long as you've got a way to earn money, then whatever you earn is going to go far, basically, compared to how far it goes in London. Right? Okay, guys, listen. I've been on a 1 hour 28 minutes. Forgive me for the video that I didn't play earlier on. We're gonna do a live, I think, on Monday. All right. It's going to be related to this. I think I want to go carry on with this about quality of life on the African continent, because Africa gets a seriously bad rep in the Western press, right? And me and the wife, we've been to Africa a few times now, only Ghana and North Africa. Like, we've been to Morocco, we've been to Egypt, but we've only been to one West African country. But I've done a lot of research on other West African countries, and the East African countries, if we count Ghana and Zambia. And honestly, there's the quality of life for as long as you've got 2 pennies to rub together, the quality of life is if we include positive mental, something that's good for your mental health, the quality of life is brilliant. But anyway, guys, look, join us on Monday. Thanks for everyone who did pop in and drop out. Right. If you've gotten this far, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and listen, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.